Hello, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. Hi, Jackie.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join me this morning. I mean, tonight, your time. How are you? How have you been?
Good, thanks. I think as soon as we got back, I kind of had a little bit of a tough transition. You go from like 100 to 0 and then trying to transition back into work and then my life here. So that was a little bit tough, but kind of back into my normal life now. And so yeah, it's been good.
Nice, nice. So let's jump in. I'll go through the questions now. So I recently found out through Ate Karin, actually, one of her posts that your mom, Mina, is half Igorot from Benguet, and your cousins from the north came to Rizal during the games. How close are you to your Filipino roots, and have you been to Baguio or Benguet?
Yeah, so I have been there, but it's been a very, very long time. My few of my cousins actually came down to Manila again after we had already won, when we had moved to Seda to kind of spend some time and do some media
Mhm.
after the tournament. They'd come down to see me then too. So I'm kind of, I guess you could say, closer with that group, if you want to put it in that terms. But I think, it's been a long time and I'm probably not as close to that part or side of my family as much as I'd like to, but I think it's obviously difficult living in Canada. It's just so far away and I'm living life here. So
Of course, of course. So, you're a product of the Canadian soccer system, even a nominee for the U20 Canadian Player of the Year. Your timeline with Canada stopped there in 2012. Could you share what happened after?
gosh, that feels so long ago. Feels like a whole other life, to be honest. Yeah, after that stint with the Canadian national team, I finished off my university career with the University of Victoria. So I finished off my eligibility with that team in 2015. And then I had opportunities to play in Iceland, and at the time I declined because I still had one more year of my degree.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me kind of regrets it and part of me doesn't. But I decided that I wanted to finish off and get my bachelor's before I decided to go overseas. So then I graduated university in 2016. Um, and then after that, I went to Norway for a little bit, actually Norway and Denmark. And fun fact, I trained with Sarah Exvik for the first time when I was in Norway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw that in there because it's just kind of funny that when I saw her in Turkey, I was like, oh my gosh, like I know who you are. She did not remember me at all. But she was really young at the time. If I'm doing the math correctly, she might have been 19 or 20. And then I was about 24. So I was there for a little bit and then went for Denmark for a little bit as well, just kind of trialing and trying to get my foot in the door. And then from there, I signed my first contract in Japan.
Awesome. So, what was your with your experience with the Canadian soccer system? What do you think can be applied to Philippine football to help it improve, especially in the youth level, as most of your experience was really in the youth level?
Yeah, I think to be honest, that's kind of a hard question for me to answer, given
Mm.
that I don't know too much about the Philippine youth system. Um, but from what I've seen, it doesn't sound like they've got an under 20 program or an under 17 program, which would obviously potentially give them opportunities to qualify for World Cups. Um, but the Canadian youth system's changed a lot since I've been in it. So I feel like I might not have the best grasp on that at this point either, but I don't know if I can give any recommendations on that point, to be honest.
All right, no problems. So let's go to the clubs that you've played in. So am I correct? This was in WPSL in 2016, right? North Shore. So I'm not sure if they played in WPSL. Okay. And then
Yeah, that's
Saitama, right. Okay, and in Japan 2017 and then 2019 with ASSI IF. What were the main differences in terms of playing style, and what did you like the most about it?
Um, well, as we know, Asia is very technical. So Japanese style of play was extremely technical, possessive based for sure. I feel like even if you're a defender, like from attacking to defense, your touch on the ball was quite similar, which is what you don't see perhaps in North America style of play. And then Europe, Sweden specific was a little bit more direct. Still a lot of really good technical players, but um, definitely a more direct style of play. I don't think I like one style of play particularly better, but I think I enjoyed my time in Sweden more, but I think that was more just a cultural thing. In Japan, we had to get a translator, and sometimes it was just mentally challenging to always be listening to Japanese, which
Mm.
like by all means that's my choice and I went there. So like I've got to integrate with the culture, which is fine. And I really enjoyed that experience. But I think from a social perspective, it was just a little bit easier for me to integrate with the team when I was in Europe.
Right. Did you talk to Serena? You were the same club, right? Did you share
Yeah.
any experiences with her, or did you share any?
Yeah, so that's also kind of funny that she's at that club as well. I think we mainly bonded in the fact that we both lived with a homestay family,
Uh-huh.
and so we lived in the same neighborhood. So we kind of, well, for me personally, like I did a little throwback and thought about that neighborhood, and I remember it so clearly, and so we kind of, talked about that neighborhood there, and the way the club works and Japanese style of play. So it was cool to catch up on that.
Nice. So among the players in the team, so you're probably the only player who has played in the World Cup, although under 20, which is still a very high level. How was that experience like for you, and how did that help you later in your career?
Um, yeah, like I said, it was so long ago, but I think given this opportunity with the Philippines, it kind of brought back all those memories of what it feels like to be on an international stage, which is, really hard to explain unless you experience it. Um, it's I mean, yeah, obviously at the time I was representing Canada, and now I've switched countries. I think no matter what country you decide to play for, there's this sense of pride and honor behind it. And um, people in sport work so hard and dedicate so much time to accomplishing little goals that it might seem like, but I think just having that small stint and that experience definitely has helped me maybe integrate with the national team now.
Right. So speaking of pride and honor, how and when did you find out about the Philippine women's national team, and what made you decide to come out of retirement and commit to playing for the Philippines?
So, well, I'll take it back to actually, I think it was in 2017. Someone
Mm.
from PFF had actually reached out to me while I was in Japan, and I think they were prepping for possibly qualifiers at the time. I can't remember exactly. And at that time, I declined just because I just felt like I wanted to focus on one thing, which was my professional season there. And I also wasn't sure on the FIFA eligibility. So there was just a lot of things on the back end that I'd have to work out. And even before that, I had just obtained my European passport because, as you know, I'm also Polish. So there was that kind of stuff that I wasn't really prepared to deal with. And I just kind of wanted to focus on, being away and focus on that season. But then after after I'd moved back from Sweden, took some time off, 2 years off in
Hmm.
total, and then just joined a local club here in September 2021. So I was only playing about 2 to 3 times a week, obviously not at professional or international level. And then earlier this year, I think it was in February 2022, PFF had reached out again. Mia specifically actually had reached out.
Hmm. Right. So did you get your passport? Did you already have your passport before going to Australia, or did you only add it recently?
So once Mia reached out, I obviously at first I was like, this is a really cool opportunity, but I haven't been playing properly. So actually was kind of hesitant to say yes, and I didn't say yes right away. I had a lot of questions about FIFA eligibility, my experience with Canada,
Mhm.
what the passport process was gonna be like. So to answer your question, I didn't have it before the camp, but I had completed the application process before the camp. So in terms of timeline of when I was going to get it, that was obviously uncertain, but they still decided to bring me into camp, which I'm obviously really fortunate for and grateful for.
Oh, that was fast though. That was really fast for you to get your passport.
I only had completed the application process.
Right.
So I had gone to Australia
Mm.
not knowing when that was all going to be sorted out.
Mm. But you were able to play SEA games, so that timeline is actually fast.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what day, but I'd gotten it some point during that time,
Mm.
like somebody that was part of PFF, I'm assuming, had picked it up in Manila. So we at least had the details and the information of that document.
Right. Awesome. So, let's talk about your transition into the team. How was it like meeting the staff and the players for the first time?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, it's it's always somewhat of a uncomfortable feeling being a new person. But I think I've put myself in that situation a lot of times, so I'm somewhat comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling. Um, I also, like I said, hadn't been playing at that level. Um, so in terms of like international standard of match fitness, I knew I wasn't going to have that. But I trusted myself enough to adapt to that level. And I think the girls on the team are more than welcoming as human beings. Is a really great group of girls, and the coaching staff is obviously super knowledgeable. And I think I just felt fortunate, given their experience with the Matildas, to be able to experience that. And I definitely went into that camp not really knowing what was going to happen. I actually expected only to be there for 20 days in Australia, but then they asked me to stay, and then I ended up going to Vietnam too, which was awesome. So I think I just went into that taking it one step at a time, one training session at a time, and hope for the best on my end.
All right. So, talk to me about the brutal schedule of 7 games in 14 days in the AFF. What's the toughest part about it?
uh for me as a 29-year-old, um yeah, it was, well, the humidity was challenging, of course. I don't come from um a humid area. uh one day between games is something you don't see it at an international level, of course. So
Mm.
recovery time is, well, which is was non-existent. And then of course the type of pitch we were on, given it being artificial, not ideal as well. So I think the combination of things was challenging, especially when you kind of have to take it one game at a time, and it's not like I'm going to play a 90-minute game and somehow try and save my body for 2 days later. Like, I got to focus on that game and make sure we're ensuring a win. So I'm giving it my all every game. Um, but we got through it. I think, Coach Allen managed the team well, in my opinion. And yeah, we came out on top. So that's good.
Is there anything you're currently working on to improve your game, your fitness, or your play in preparation for the upcoming friendlies or the World Cup?
Yeah, I think everything. I think everything. Sometimes I kind of feel like I'm a little bit behind. I remember when I was 24 and I went to Norway, and I was, training with some players my age, of course, some players older, but I was also training with some 16-year-olds, and I couldn't believe how good they were. And that's just obviously a gap between European football and North American, or Canadian to be specific. So, I obviously have a lot to learn. And given the style of play of our team, I've only had 2 campaigns. So, of course, there's always room for improvement. And I think even by the time it's World Cup, like even after that, there'll be more room to improve as well. So I think it's just an endless cycle. Obviously, fitness is always a factor, but the small little details of the game, we're always studying through video and whatnot, and I'm just trying to take it all in and take it one step at a time.
Nice. See, that's what's exciting because you ladies are just getting started. So
Yeah.
what's the most memorable thing about playing for the Philippines so far?
I mean, I think for me, because I wasn't at AFC, and I've only been at 2 campaigns. I think it's hard to say anything's beat winning AFF, of course. But I don't want to discredit the bronze medal at the SEA Games either. I do think obviously that was the first time that the team had, came back from a loss. And I think from that moment on, our mentality really shifted. And we kind of brought that mentality into the AFF, which helped us win the AFF. And I think now there really is, that sense of confidence and that winning mentality. And even when we don't win, or maybe when we're down, we're still not going to get down on ourselves, and we're still going to push through and use it as learning opportunities. So I guess to answer your question, AFF probably, but they were both very surreal experiences. And I think going forward, it's like Coach always says, the past is the past. And I think we're going to try and create more moments like that. So from this moment on, there might be a new one, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go through the social media questions. So
Okay.
start with Serena's question. Ask her about her love for olives and who hates on her the most for it. Is this an inside
Um,
joke or something?
Sort of, not really. I think it's out there. I love olives. I think they're delicious, black or green. And Ava is the one that hates them.
Okay.
Hates them very much. And she reminds me that she hates them, and she reminds me that she thinks it's disgusting that I love them. Often. In Turkey, we stayed at this very nice resort. And at lunch and dinner, there was always an olive bar. So it'd just be a whole section of different types of olives. And Ava would always look at me and just go, ugh. It's like every time, like it was new information. So yeah, that's why Serena decided to drop that in there.
And then from Camrod, a specific favorite moment with the team so far. So specific, all caps specific favorite moment.
That's a tough one. I mean, obviously winning AFF. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about 2 moments because they connect to each other. So after the semifinal against Vietnam at AFF, we're all celebrating, of course. We just, we've never been in Vietnam before, and now we're into the final. We've automatically medaled, so we've kind of got 2 milestones right off the bat. And after that game, I remember being totally gassed. Like I had nothing left in my tank, and I was really struggling, and I needed water, electrolytes, something like right then and there. And as everyone was celebrating, I came in and I started to cry. and everybody thought it was like tears of happiness. And I was just like, no, like dropped to the floor. And I was like, I need fluids right now. So that was the first moment. And then that moment wasn't necessarily a good moment for me, but it kind of ties into the second moment when we won the final, and of course we're celebrating, and I started to cry again, and everyone's like, wait a second, like, are these good tears or are they bad tears? And I'm like, I'm so happy right now.
Nice.
So yeah, those two moments obviously are memorable in my mind.
Yeah, but I witnessed that too. You stayed on the pitch for a while. I think it was the Vietnam game. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next question from Bolivs Bolival. Many have compared you to N'Golo Kante or Sergio Busquets. Who do you really model your game from? And who is your favorite female football player?
Oh man, tough questions here. I don't think I necessarily model anyone because those are quite big names. And anybody that I watch and study from are big names, but my favorite player is on the men's side, Kevin De Bruyne, and
Mm.
I obviously study him a lot, and I would love to play more like him. Favorite female footballer, that's also a tough one, but I've always had a soft spot for Tobin Heath on the American national team. I love the way she plays. I think her technical ability is
Yeah.
second to none. She's dangerous, effective, super fit, and I feel like always consistent with her performances. So she's top for me for sure.
I would agree with that. And from Cali Nueva, you know Cali.
Yes.
What's one piece of advice you could give to those looking to become an effective midfielder?
Well, I think I'll maybe give some advice that's perhaps something that I'm actually not that good at, is scanning the field, having that ability to scan the field and always know what your surroundings are. I think for me personally, that's something that I need to improve on. And even when you think you've scanned and it's been 2 seconds later, you're probably going to have to scan 2 more times before that ball comes to you. So that would be my advice to you, and hopefully I can take that advice as well and build off of it.
Yeah, maybe Cali's playing as a midfielder. All right, so Ivan from Ivan Gayares, how hard or easy was it for you to switch allegiances?
To be honest, I don't really know. Like on the back end, obviously management was dealing with that, bless their soul. So I think it really was a matter of FIFA. Like, the ball was like in their court. In terms of timeline, I think it wasn't terrible in terms of timeline. I'm very grateful that I was able to play in SEA Games. So yeah, in terms of difficulty, it's hard for me to say because I wasn't actually hands-on managing it. But if you're talking about the decision
Maybe.
to do so,
Yes, I think that's what he's referring to.
I think originally in 2017, when PFF had originally reached out, I think that was difficult for me, which is maybe potentially part reason why I had said no, on top of the other reasons that I explained earlier. But I think this point in time, after I had finished my professional career in Sweden, I always kind of felt like I had more to give to the game, and I wasn't really satisfied with ending my career in that way. And since then I kept running and like going to the gym and was still conditioning for essentially no reason. I don't know why. I think that was just my nature. But when I got this opportunity, I talked about it with my partner, and he just kind of said, like, why wouldn't you do it? And I was like, I don't know. I don't have a reason not to. And I also felt like it was the perfect way to show my mom that I was proud of my Filipino roots, and So I think at that time it was just the right timing for me, and then the decision wasn't tough. It was easy.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, partner and mom, for pushing her. All right, from Dr. Kazan1. So, Dr. Kazan was actually a doctor, but he's also a comic artist. So I guess this is um why this question is his question. Favorite movie, comic, TV show, or video game?
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
Something where I don't have to reflect about myself. Favorite movie, hands down, Friday Night Lights. Favorite movie. Have you
Okay.
seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But I know what
I'll
it is.
I'll send you the trailer.
All right, cool. I'll make sure to watch it since
Yeah.
you recommended it and it's your favorite. You don't play video games or read comic books?
No comic books. Not since I was little. Like I used to read the Archie
I
comic books
Archie,
a lot
yeah.
when I was little. I remember I used to buy them at garage sales for like
Mm.
$1 and like hoard them. Um, I don't know what happened to those, but when I was younger too, I don't play video games very
Mm.
often now, but I used to love Diddy Kong Racing, and like Super Mario Party.
Mm. All right, thank you. From CTEX22 on Twitter, from a fellow Filipino Canadian, what is your favorite kind of poutine?
Um, I feel like every Canadian is gonna hate me for saying this. I'm actually not the biggest fan of poutine.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I just find the flavor. I feel like after 2 bites, I'm kind of sick of the flavor. It's very rich and filling for me. Um, but I think if I were to pick a poutine, it would be your standard original. Have you ever tried poutine, Ben? Do you know what it is?
Yes, I know what it is. I've tried one.
Okay,
But
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not I think it's just not up to the like Canadian standard of poutine.
right. I think I would just pick, your original, just original. Yeah.
Sorry. So from Chris Tricks 2 on Twitter, do you wish to be grouped with Canada for next year's World Cup?
Um, I don't know if it's not that I wish or don't wish. I think that would be very interesting if we were grouped together. Um, but I think at the end of the day, like we've got to beat some top ranked teams to get out of the group. So it doesn't really matter to me, but I think, yeah, that would be interesting for sure if they were grouped with us. But yeah, not wishing or not wishing.
Gotcha. All right. From Sunbeam, advice for a defensive midfielder who idolizes you. And what other position do you prefer to play apart from the number 6?
Well, my preference is the middle. But I actually spent 2 professional seasons playing as a winger.
Mm,
Um, I've played through my youth. I always played as a striker, but I feel like a lot of soccer players play as a striker in their youth. Um, but most of my experiences is wing or central. Um, to be honest, I don't enjoy any other position, but I'll play it if it puts me on the park. My preference is the middle for sure.
all right. Thank you. That's for you, Sunbeam. And this is a very common question. Um, do you have offers from other clubs or teams, or are you actually looking to play for a club locally or wherever?
Common question, hey?
Yeah.
Um, so I have actually signed a contract with a club. I can't disclose that information quite yet until the club releases
Right.
announces the signing, which actually should happen in a few days, the announcement. So stay tuned.
Okay, now I'm excited. All right. From Toledo Hakon. What does she like most about a club? I'm not sure if Toledo is referring to a club you want to play for or a club you support, but maybe you can answer both.
Um, so like what I'm potentially looking for in a
Yeah.
club,
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think I'm that high maintenance. I think especially because I've kind of had a gap
Mm,
since my last season. I really just want a platform that's going to help me grow as a player, and help me prepare for the World Cup. Um, and I also want to be part of another family. I want to grow with that team. I want to win championships. And I want to learn from coaches and other experienced players. So anywhere that's going to give me that platform and help me grow as an individual is good for me.
yeah, of course. From Danilo Ekat, how has your life changed after winning the AFF Women's Championship?
Um, I don't know yet. I think just it's changed a lot since I've been a part of the national team. That's for sure.
Mm,
From winning AFF in specific, I'm not sure. I think that experience definitely helped me get this opportunity with this new club that I'm about to join for sure. But I
mhm,
think, I was working full time. Um, and really my soccer experience prior to the national team, I was just playing locally for fun. It wasn't my priority at all. Um, so I think now I've taken some time off work when I go to camps and I've withdrawn a lot of hours. So and now I'm going to be moving countries again. So it's changed a lot since since the Philippines has happened. So um completely unexpected and happened really fast, sometimes very overwhelming at times, but it's changed drastically.
mm. Yeah, I can see that. And do you have more followers now on Instagram?
um yeah, I think I'm not a big social media
Mm.
person. Like I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook. I will never ever get TikTok. But I have Instagram, and I feel like to me Instagram's got like everything in
Yeah.
one. So what's the
Mm,
point of having anything else?
mm,
Um, yeah, my following did grow a little bit. It's just it's interesting to see.
mm,
Honestly, it was kind of interesting to see these people um start following, and it's like I think for me, I'm not big on self-promotion either, and it's like, oh, why why is this happening? Just something I'm not used to, I guess.
mm. All right, so back to the fun questions. So, uh, multiple questions for the question: Messi or Ronaldo?
Messy,
Messi.
100%.
Yes. David Gwen.
100%. No explanation needed.
Period with T. From David Gwen, Putellas or Hegerberg?
Who's the first player?
Alexia Putellas from Spain
Oh,
or Ada
oh,
Hegerberg?
that's a really tough one for me. I have a very, very soft spot for Ada, and
Mm,
that's just because I respect her so much as a player and what she had done in the past to promote women's football and fight
mm,
for the rights of women's football, giving up World Cups, Olympics, giving up all that national team exposure just for that. I think this has nothing to do with playing style, nothing to do with them as athletes, but I think that alone, I really have a soft spot for her. And I actually did play against her in the group stage at the under 20 World Cup. So she's my age as well. So I think I'm gonna have to pick her.
all right. And what plays or tourist spot?
Everywhere. I've only really been to Baguio and Manila thus far.
Oh, mm,
I'd really love to visit the islands. But yeah, I think, you know, hopefully now there could be more opportunity to go back there and explore, the routes a little bit more. So I would take anywhere, but the islands have definitely been on my list for a long time.
yeah, you should go back just to go to the beaches.
Yeah.
All right. This is another serious one from RD Bedro. I love playing defense and hold positions, and I really appreciate how much work a player puts in those positions. I would like to ask Jackie, has it always been the holding mid, deep lying playmaker, or will she play other positions on the pitch? I think you answered this question earlier, but if you want to elaborate more.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, I've have experience playing as a winger, and more of like an 8 central midfield, some experience as a 10 as well. I think my role on this team, this is the most defensive I've ever played. With the coaches that I've had in the past, they've also given me basically endless amounts of freedom to kind of do what I want on the field. So if we weren't defending, I was kind of everywhere on the attack. I would make runs from the inside to the outside. I, could end up where the 9 was, as long as, I connected defensively and gone back. So I always had a lot of freedom in that sense. And now obviously at an international level, there's got to be a little bit more structure to it. So this is the most defensive I've ever played, but I do have more attacking experience that it may look.
Exciting. All right. So a lot of questions about clubs, which you've already answered. Okay. Back to fun questions. Who from Haruyuki Escarda, who do you think is the funniest in the team?
It's a lot of good characters on this team.
Mm.
I'm gonna go with Tara Shelton.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tara. Yeah, she's a funny character. I love that girl.
and it's actually 4 questions. So who's the most skillful in the team?
In terms of technique,
Mm, let's just say technique.
okay. Probably Jess McClat. Probably. I'm sure we all know if we watched our
Yeah.
team play. She's a fantastic dribbler, very crafty and creative, and she's hard to defend one-on-one because you think you know what she's gonna do, and then she does something else.
Who's the scariest in the team? I'm not sure in what sense, but scariest in the team.
Mm, I don't know if I ever felt fear or intimidation. Maybe they meant
Mm.
intimidation. I mean, Coach Allen, you don't ever want to get him mad. So,
Your favorite person in the team?
oh, favorite person. I wouldn't be able to pick one.
Uh,
I love them all. Can't pick one on that one.
all right. And from Andrew Aquino, favorite Filipino food?
Ooh. So I had a feeling that somebody was gonna ask this, and
For sure.
I was trying to think. So honestly, it wouldn't be food, but
Mm,
I love buko.
buko. Oh,
Like I need it all the time. And I can't get it.
do you like the fresh one or are you the kind
Fresh,
fresh?
off the
Okay.
street, off the street, ice cold is my favorite thing.
And you didn't have it when you were here?
I did actually.
Mm.
My cousin had brought me like a coconut, and I just drank. I just drank straight from it the day before I flew out, or no,
Mhm.
the day I flew out. But unfortunately here I gotta have the cans
Yeah.
imported.
All right. And from Brian Magno, this is a little bit personal, but what does she feel when reporters here mispronounce her surname over and over again?
I'm so used to it. Yeah, I there's not one person in Canada that pronounces it right, so don't feel bad, honestly. I think the people that get the most offended are my parents. It's not me. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Mm. We're good, Brian. Okay. Thank you, Jackie. That's all the social media questions. If I missed any, I'm sorry. Or if your question, you feel your question wasn't asked or I did not mention you, that's because it was a common question. Um, and lastly, Jackie, do you have any message to the football stakeholders in the Philippines?
Yeah, just I think as we all know, this hopefully is the start for us, and even the World Cup, even though it's a year from now, and as as a group, the group that we have specifically, obviously that's our end goal, but if we're thinking long term and if we're thinking we want like how we're going to build the foundation of this program, I think, you know, PFF has gotta look past the World Cup and let us worry about that, and then if they're really wanting to build a program, think about the players on our team that are 17, 20, 21, 22. They should have opportunities to play in more than one World Cup. So we don't want the maiden one to be our last one, that's for sure.
Okay. So good luck on your club. I'm excited. So at least now I know it's overseas and I'll be waiting.
For sure.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, Ben.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye.